Welcome to this deep dive. Today, we're plunging into something that really feels like it's pushing the boundaries. We're looking at the latest on Neuralink's human brain chip trial. You know, the stuff that sounds straight out of science fiction.
It absolutely does.
So is it this massive breakthrough everyone's talking about, or are we maybe opening a kind of Pandora's box here?
It's such a huge moment, you're right.
Mm.
Feels like we're really at a crossroads. And today, yeah, our goal is to really break down the data we've seen.
Understand what it actually means.
Exactly. Explore those, broader implications.
Okay, so for anyone needing a quick refresher, Neuralink, founded by Elon Musk, right? Been promising these brain-computer interfaces for a while.
That's the one. BCIs, the chips in the brain.
And their goals are, well, they're huge. Everything from helping people with paralysis regain function.
All the way to eventually maybe even enhancing human cognition. That's the long-term vision they talk about.
Which is a whole other conversation. But for today, our mission is really to cut through the, let's say, the hype and the noise.
Yeah, just focus on the sources, the facts.
Pull out the key insights from everything you shared with us and give you listening a really clear picture of what's actually happening.
And what it might mean going forward.
Okay, so let's start right there, the specifics. Neuralink's first human trial.
Right.
What exactly did they do?
All right. So the procedure involved implanting their device, the N1 chip. It's tiny, like a coin.
Right.
And they put it directly into the lower cortex. That's the part of the brain that handles, planning and making voluntary movements.
And the patient.
The patient was paralyzed from the neck down, quadriplegic.
Okay.
And the main goal, the primary objective, was pretty focused. Could this chip reliably pick up brain signals, detect them, and then, crucially, translate those signals into commands a computer could understand?
And Neuralink reported what they called a milestone moment, didn't they?
They did. They reported that after just a few weeks of the patient training with the system.
Training how? Just thinking.
Essentially, yes.
Yeah.
Learning to modulate their thoughts in a way the system could interpret. And they said the patient was able to move a computer cursor just by thinking.
Wow. I mean, just pause on that for a second. Going from paralysis like that to controlling a computer cursor directly with your mind, it's almost hard to process.
It is genuinely remarkable.
But, these early trials, they often hit snags. Were there any sort of immediate issues or caveats reported?
Yeah, that's a really important point to bring up. While the success part is big news, there were reports indicating some, let's call them early technical glitches.
Okay, like what?
Specifically issues with the electrodes. These are the super thin hair-like wires that actually connect to the brain tissue and pick up the signals. Some reports suggested they had problems with losing connection or maybe retracting slightly, which, is a big deal.
Because you need that consistent signal.
Exactly. For this to be reliable long-term, that connection has to be absolutely stable. So it's something they definitely need to address.
Right. Okay, so even with those early technical bumps, let's get to the core question everyone's asking. These results, what do they really signify? Is this the breakthrough, or is it still mostly hype at this stage?
Well, look, the main takeaway, I think, is that the fundamental technology does seem to work, at least in this initial case.
It can read thoughts and translate them.
It can translate intended movement signals into cursor control, yes. And it does it wirelessly, which is a key difference from some older systems. It offers this sort of intuitive control.
Making it potentially more usable day to day.
That seems to be the goal, yeah.
Yeah.
Making it something that could integrate into someone's life, not just exist in a lab. But, and this is a big but we absolutely have to remember.
Small sample size.
Tiny sample size. One patient reported publicly so far. And it's incredibly early days for this specific device and procedure. So, groundbreaking. Yes, potentially. Proven. Not by a long shot yet.
That's fair. And you mentioned older systems. Neurologists have pointed out that similar tech isn't entirely new, right? Like the Utah array.
Exactly. That's crucial context. Experts in the field will tell you, look, brain-computer interfaces aren't brand new. The Utah array, for instance.
Which is different how?
It's generally a wired system. So there's a physical connection port, usually on the head. But it has been used successfully for years in trials.
Enabling paralyzed people to control things too?
Yes. Things like robotic arms, computer cursors. So the basic concept isn't Neuralink's invention.
Okay, so what is Neuralink's innovation here then, if the core idea exists?
Well, it seems to be mainly about the engineering and the packaging, making it fully wireless, internal.
External ports.
Right, and potentially using many more finer electrodes. The focus really appears to be on making it less invasive externally, more user-friendly, maybe easier to implant or scale up eventually.
Portability, ease of use, maybe aiming for something less cumbersome.
That seems to be the key differentiator they're pushing. Whether that translates to better long-term results or broader adoption, we'll have to see.
Okay, let's connect this back for everyone listening. Why should you care about all this tech talk? It's easy to get lost in the details, but think about the human impact. Just imagine for a second what this could mean for someone who's lost their ability to move or communicate easily.
It's potentially life-changing.
Right. The chance for someone paralyzed to control a phone, a computer, maybe eventually a wheelchair or a prosthetic limb, just by thinking, that's not just convenience, that's independence.
It's communication, connection, interaction with the world. It could lead to huge quality of life improvements, truly significant.
Absolutely monumental. Okay, so those medical applications are powerful, potentially transformative, but this is where that other side comes in, isn't it? The Pandora's box idea we mentioned. What happens when Neuralink talks about goals that go beyond fixing problems, goals that sound even more like science fiction?
Yeah, and this is where it definitely gets more controversial and sparks a lot more debate.
Because their vision isn't just medical restoration.
No, not entirely. They talk openly about, down the line, enhancing healthy brains. Even the idea of merging human consciousness with artificial intelligence.
Okay, whoa. Let's unpack that. Enhancement, merging with AI.
Right. So we shift from therapy, from restoring lost function, to potentially augmenting normal function, making healthy people different, maybe smarter, faster thinking, directly linked to AI.
And that's where the serious ethical alarms start ringing for a lot of people.
Absolutely. Because now you're talking about fundamentally altering what it means to be human, potentially.
And the specific concerns that pop up are pretty heavy. We're talking about direct access to the brain.
The ultimate private space.
Exactly. So, privacy, not just your data, but your actual thoughts, your intentions. What if that could be read? Or worse, hacked?
The potential for misuse is enormous. Imagine targeted advertising based on your fleeting thoughts, or governments monitoring dissent before it's even spoken.
Or just control. Who owns the data generated by your brain? Is it you? Is it Neuralink? Who controls the interface?
These are massive questions about autonomy, security, equity. You know, who gets access to this enhancement tech? Does it create new divides in society?
They're not just theoretical questions anymore, are they?
Not at all. They're becoming very real, very quickly. And these concerns, these profound ethical and safety worries, are exactly why regulatory bodies exist.
Like the FDA in the U.S.
Precisely. The FDA approval process for something this invasive, this novel, is incredibly stringent. And rightly so.
So it's not like these chips are going to be widely available next year.
Oh, absolutely not. We're talking years, likely many years, of rigorous clinical trials, data collection, safety evaluations, before something like this could even be considered for widespread public use, if ever, for the enhancement side.
Okay, that's important perspective. So looking ahead more immediately then, what are Neuralink's actual next steps after this first trial? And how does it all fit into the bigger picture of BCI development?
Well, Neuralink has said their plan is to move forward, enroll more patients in these trials, expand the testing.
Sticking with paralysis for now.
Primarily, yes. Their stated near-term goals are focused on restoring function. They talk about eventually hoping to restore mobility, even vision.
Vision, wow.
Yeah, that's another ambitious goal they've mentioned. But again, the timeline for those kinds of breakthroughs is, well, it's very uncertain. Likely quite far off.
And it's worth remembering, Neuralink gets a lot of the press, but they aren't the only players in this game, right?
Oh, definitely not. That's a crucial point. While Neuralink, thanks to Musk, has a high profile, there are other companies doing really important work.
Like who?
Companies like Synchron, for example, already have their own brain implants in human trials, using a different approach involving blood vessels. There are others too, research groups, universities.
So it's a whole field moving forward.
Exactly. It's becoming a rapidly developing, pretty competitive space. Multiple approaches, multiple teams working on these challenges, which is probably a good thing.
Yeah, competition can drive innovation. So the big takeaway here seems to be, this isn't just science fiction anymore.
Not at all. Brain-computer interfaces are here. They're a reality, a very early reality, with lots of challenges, but tangible.
It's an established field of research and development now.
Absolutely. It's moved firmly into the realm of real-world medical and technological exploration.
Okay, so today we've taken this deep dive into Neuralink's first human trial. We've looked at the tech, the N1 chip, the reported success with cursor control.
And those early glitches, too.
Right. And then we explored the bigger picture, the comparison to existing tech, the huge potential for helping people.
And those really complex ethical questions, especially around enhancement.
And what might be coming next, both for Neuralink and the wider BCI field.
So to leave you with something to think about, considering everything we've discussed,
Yeah.
should the main focus, the primary driver for developing these powerful brain-computer interfaces, remain squarely on fixing things, on restorative medical uses?
Helping people with injuries or disease.
Exactly. Or is that leap towards enhancing cognitive function in healthy people basically inevitable? Maybe even desirable, some might argue.
And if it is inevitable, or if we choose that path.
What does that mean for us? For society?
Yeah.
What are the implications of either sticking purely to medicine or embracing enhancement? That's something we all might need to start thinking about very carefully.